What's going on, everyone? So we're back with another video. Today we've got a 2005 Honda Rancher 400. This is the automatic and electric shift model. As you can see here, we've got our electric and our automatic shift there. I got this yesterday for $1,000, and the guy told me that it's been sitting for about 3 years, and when he parked it, he said that there was a problem with this thing shifting. He said it just kind of sits in first gear when you have it in automatic, and it won't go any higher than that. And also he said that the electric shift won't do anything when you press it. So we're going to dig into that a little bit. And besides that, cosmetically, it needs a new seat cover, and as you can see here, it looks like the pull cord ripped off at some point, so we're going to order a new pull start. But other than that, we need to get this thing cleaned up and dig into those issues. So let's get started with that. All right, guys, so the first thing, I want to take a look at this oil and see if it actually has some in there before we try to start this thing up. Make sure none has leaked out. All right, so it definitely does have oil in there. We'll probably have to change that at some point, but for now, at least we know there's some in there so we can start this thing up. So let's go ahead and pop this back in, and we'll try to fire this thing up and kind of diagnose that shifting problem. All right, let's go ahead and try to start this thing. All right, so right now it's in neutral. If we switch it back to auto and we put it in a drive, it just kind of has these two dotted lines. It will go, but it just kind of sits in first gear. It won't do anything past that. So we're gonna troubleshoot this thing real quick and see if this thing will give us an error code and start there. All right, so now that we're back inside, so you guys can see, the way you check this is you press your up and down electric shift buttons. You turn the key. Once it comes on, you let off and you press back down again. And once you see this start blinking, okay, see it blinking there? You're gonna have this blinking one long one, and then you're gonna have it blink multiple times rapidly. You have to count those blinks that it does whenever it's rapid. So let's count this. Okay, so it blinked 11 times. So 11 blinks in the manual. I'll put something up on the screen, but it says it's the ECM fail-safe relay circuit. So that can be a couple different things. Our relay circuit is actually going to be where the fuses are, or it can be a break in the circuit. So let's dig into that more. So if you take your seat off and you look back here at the fuse box, typically what that can mean is one of these fuses are out. And on the bottom of this cover, it shows you what each fuse goes for. And I checked this, and it looks like all the fuses are good. So I don't think that that's our issue. But as I was looking around, if you look down here near the transmission, back here in the back, you have a neutral, reverse switch, and then you have another switch right here. And it looks like this line has broken free, and I think this is the drive switch. So we're gonna try to troubleshoot that and see if that fixes any of our issues. All right, guys, so we got a little bit of an update. So I connected a jump wire to that broken wire into where the switch goes. So we're gonna test this thing out now. We're gonna hop on and just take it around the block and see if it'll go into gear now. So let's hop on here and do that real quick. All right, guys, let's test this out. So right now, as you can see, we're in neutral. We'll test the manual shift real quick first. Let's put it in the drive. So as you can already see, we're in first gear here. second. All right, let's try automatic. So now we get a drive. All right, so it looks like we fixed that problem. We were up, well over 20 miles an hour, and I could tell that it was shifting in automatic and the manual shift was working as well. So that was definitely our problem. We just had that disconnect right there. So I just need to get a new connection to fix that switch, and that should solve that problem. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next thing. All right, guys, so now that we got the shifting problem figured out, I want to go ahead and wash this thing down really good. That way we'll be able to store it inside as we wait on these other parts to come in. So let's do that. So before we wash this, there's a couple things I want to do that I don't really like on here. I just want to cut this off, and also there's a couple stickers on here I want to remove. So let's pop those off, and then we'll spray this thing down. All right, guys, we got those stickers off and that PVC pipe. Let's go ahead and spray this thing down, and we'll be ready to wash it. All right, guys, so now that we got this thing all washed up, as you can tell, it cleaned up fairly nice. All that mud came off, and not a bad looking quad. So let's go ahead and get this thing inside, and we'll dig into the rest of these things that we want to take a look at. All right, guys, so the next thing I want to do is take a look at this air filter. All right, so our air filter looks pretty clean. It's not too dirty, so we'll leave that, and we'll go ahead and move over to the carb. I've got a rebuild kit for it, so we're gonna go ahead and tear that down, rebuild that, get it cleaned, and reinstall it. All right, guys, as you can see, there's a lot of green buildup in there. Same goes for the inside of the carb. This is the rest of our carb, and as you can tell, it's extremely dirty. We'll definitely need a rebuild and a good clean, but this is the original OEM carb, so and we know it already runs, so it just needs to be cleaned up well. So we're going to go ahead and get into that, and I'll show you guys how I clean and rebuild these. All right, guys, so what I've done is I've taken all the tubes and everything off of it. Now we're going to take these jets and everything out. We're going to check this diaphragm in here, make sure that's good, and then once we get this all broken down, we'll run it through the parts cleaner, and then we'll put in the new parts that we bought. All right, guys, it looks like our diaphragm is good. Let's see what our needle's set at here. All right, I don't know if you can see that, but it's the second notch from the top, and that's where it needs to be. So we'll leave that just how it is. All right, guys, there's the float. It's a little hard on the end, so it definitely will need to be replaced. And overall, I mean, this thing is pretty gunked up. So let's go ahead and get this in the parts cleaner, and then we'll put it back together. All right guys, so we're ready to go ahead and put our parts in the cleaner. So we got our carb here. All right guys, so now that we've got our carb all cleaned up, this is the rebuild kit that we're going to be using. It comes with some new jets and O-rings and things like that. So let's go ahead and rebuild this thing. So this is our main jet. This is a 142, which is stock, so we'll install that. All right guys, this is our pilot jet. It is a 45, so we'll go ahead and put that in. All right, now we got our fuel mixture screw going in, and this is going to be 2 1/4 turns out. All right guys, so we got our carb fully rebuilt, so let's go ahead and throw it back on the bike. All right guys, so we got our carb put back on and reinstalled. Let's go ahead and fire this thing up before we put our air box in to make sure that it doesn't leak or anything. So we got it on reserve. And so far I'm not seeing any leaks, so let's see what happens. All right, so it does run now. Obviously it's not gonna be completely tuned because we have the air box off, but let's go ahead and install that. And then our parts came in today. So I've got this new pull cord there that we're gonna install. I've got a new seat cover that just came in we're gonna put on. And then we're just gonna go ahead and do a oil change and put some gear oil in the rear and front diff. So let's get into that. All right guys, so if you look down in here, this right here is our pull cord. It's kind of hard to get in there and film, so I'm gonna go ahead and swap that out real fast and then we'll test that pull cord out. All right guys, I'm not gonna lie, this one was kind of tricky to get out of there, but I finally got it broke free. So here's the old one, and we'll go ahead and put on our new one. All right, guys, so it took a minute because I actually had to rebuild the old one. The new one that I bought didn't have the right screw holes, so I just went ahead and rebuilt the old one, but it does work now. So now that we got that taken care of, let's get our air box back on. All right, guys, so I finally got this air box put in. It did take me a minute because there's like 3 different connections that you have to hook up, but we finally got that squared away. So let's go ahead and move on to the next thing, which is getting this seat cover replaced. All right, guys, we got that old seat cover off, and this is gonna be our new seat cover. So let's go ahead and get our first few staples put in. That way it's set in place. All right, guys, so as you can tell, we got our new seat cover installed. It looks a heck of a lot better than the original one that was on there. So now that we got that done, the last thing I want to do is go ahead and change the oil on this thing and put some rear and front diff fluid in there. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and start this up and let it run for a few minutes. That way it helps that oil drain out. All right, guys, so I think most of our oil is drained out. So now I'm gonna go ahead and take and spray the bolt down with carb cleaner. All right, guys, so I finally got our drain plug back in. The next thing I wanted to show you real quick, if you don't ever have like a funnel to do your oil, this is a Pepsi bottle. If you just put it right in here and twist it in, it fits perfectly in there and it won't move. So it's just a cheap way to, fill your oil back up. All right, guys, we're ready to go ahead and put our oil in. This is what I'm gonna be using. It's 10W40. It calls for 2.8 quarts of this. So let's go ahead and fill it up. All right, guys, we're gonna check our oil level real quick. All right, guys, as you can see, it does have enough oil in there. So let's go ahead and get this put back in, and we'll go ahead and fire this thing up and see how she runs. All right, guys, so she runs. I think I need to tweak the carb just a little bit because it seems like it's running a little rich. But besides that, the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put some diff fluid in this thing. I'm not going to show that just for time's sake, but once I do that, we'll be back and we'll be at the land and we'll go ahead and take this thing for a test ride. All right, guys, we finally made it down here to the land. We finally got that carb tuned a little bit better, so we're ready to take this thing for a ride. But before we do that, let's just do one last quick walk around. But as you can tell, pretty clean quad now that we got it all cleaned up and everything fixed. So let's hop on this thing and we'll test drive it. All right, guys, let's hop on here and do a quick top speed test real fast. All right, guys, so it looks like the top speed is around 50 miles an hour. I had a short road, as you can tell, so I couldn't get quite up to the 50. I got around 40, but it gives you a rough idea of what the top speed might be. All right, guys, I think that's going to wrap it up for this video. I appreciate you guys watching. This has been a fun, quick little build. But if you guys have any comments or questions about this video, just feel free to drop that below. And if you like the content and want to see more, just feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next video.